Welcome to Matinee Heroes presents CastOFF. What a great show we've got for you. I hope you had a great Memorial weekend. We've got two great contestants who are going to duke it out, recasting favorite actors in movies you love. And today we're going to do an entire franchise. We did Star Wars a week ago or so, and we didn't redo the whole franchise because every every series has its own people. But here, you are going from all of time and space, all of the people we've got. So let's meet our challengers. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Oh, yeah, ready to go.
All right.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Well, both of you are big Fan X participants. We've got Jake Dietz from Movies That Make Us, and we've got Luke Hunsaker from the Nerd Dome. We're going to start with Jake. Jake, you've been on the show a couple times.
Yes.
You've also got people who have been on the show that have been on your podcast. So you've got Valerie, who was our first game winner.
Correct.
Yes, I know. And that's not you don't get points for that. And then
Dang it.
we had Tracy, who almost won and actually probably could have won, technically should have won if it wasn't for the fact that Steve Condrick guessed exactly the same as me and got an extra point. So how much pressure do you feel?
Well, I mean, a lot. Fortunately, I do feel like you saved the best for last as far as the show goes. So we'll see how it goes. No, I'm kidding. Val and Tracy are great, and it is a lot of pressure. So I just hope I don't embarrass them.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, you did not embarrass them. I don't know if you've won or not, but you did not embarrass them. And since you've already been on the show, you've got to kind of leg up on the competition. So let's get to Luke Hunsaker. Luke, how are you? You're from the Nerd Dome podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm doing great. I'm excited. I'm nervous. And now he's coming with the all that confidence there. Well, he's got me on my heels already, but it's all right.
Well, again, the die's already been cast, so whether you don't have to worry about outguessing him, you've already done that. Now it's just a matter of finding out the results. But I do want to say congratulations. You got a new baby.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
What flavor is it, and what's the name?
He's a boy, and his name is Riker.
Oh, my, you're kidding me.
Yeah, I got away with it.
Wow, you convinced your wife, Riker.
Yes. Yep.
Well done, sir.
Jake, how do you feel about that now?
I feel good. I mean, I'm glad that I'm on with another super big Star Trek fan. Like, that's awesome. That's going to make it that much more fun. I have a baby, Benjamin is my youngest, and Cisco is part of the reason why he's named Benjamin. So that one was a little bit easier to get away with, though, because that one, nobody's going to know that.
Yeah.
So,
but you know it, and that's what counts.
That's exactly right.
And so how many is that for you, Jake?
It's a half dozen is where I'm at.
He's got 6.
Do we get points for number of kids?
You might get half points. It's Utah.
Oh.
And Luke, this is number 2 for you?
Number two. One of each, completed the set, calling it good.
Yep. Apparently, there were some damaged goods, and so we had to keep getting other ones, Jake. I don't know. Did you just like them, or did they come in pairs? What happened?
We figured it out after number 6, what was causing the whole thing. So
okay.
we've taken.
Right.
Listen, sometimes you've got to get exclusives.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yep. So you have variant covers is what they are, I guess.
Right. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's get to the rules, and the rules are pretty basic. First off, I'm going to name an actor from the movie, and you are going to provide me with what that person is, the recasting, and the best choice gets 1 point. If you get my secret selection, you get an additional point. Just because you get my secret selection doesn't mean you get the best choice. Sometimes people can even do better than me. It's hard to believe, but yes, and it did happen. I think Tracy Magnum, your buddy from Movies That Make Us, had a better choice at Ben Kenobi than either Steve Condrick or I, who picked Gary Oldman, and he picked Ben Kingsley.
Right.
Boom, extra point, and that's where we ended up with that tie.
Right.
The person with the most points wins. That's pretty obvious. And if there is a tie, a double feature, you're going to give me a double feature right off the bat. You didn't prepare ahead of time, and I will pick which I think is the best. Just to remind everybody, today's contest has been presented by Matinee Heroes, like it always does. And this weekend on Saturday, Godzilla, King of Monsters, from last week's participant, Derek McCaw. So if you have not subscribed to the actual podcast, which is a far more in-depth situation than what we're doing here, you can go to matineeheroes.com, subscribe -to-podcast, and sign up. And of course, if you haven't signed up for us yet, you can go to matineeheroes.com/castoff, where you will find a subscribe button. So today we have Star Trek, and I'm going to start off by telling you guys I sent you the names of the new actors that take over the Star Trek, but I did that on purpose because we're actually going to do the original series. And so we're going to start off with Captain James T. Kirk. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, ready.
Jake, you go first. Who do you have playing the amazing James T. Kirk, presented by Bill Shatner? I know him well enough to call him Bill.
Wow. I do not know him well enough to call him Bill. I wanted someone who had charisma, someone who had experience, maybe piloting around in space, captaining his own ship, if you will, but someone I think that anybody would follow, and I went with Harrison Ford.
Now, this is a real... Automatically, this is going to be a tough choice for you, Luke, because Harrison Ford is known for everything good in the world.
It's true.
Indiana Jones, Star Wars, The Fugitive, Witness, Mosquito Coast. I could go on and on and on. Harrison Ford as a captain of a starship. He's charming. He's funny. Well done, Jake. Good start.
Thank you.
The gauntlet has been thrown down, Jake. Luke, who do you have? Who do you think would make a good Captain Kirk?
All right. I feel like a lot of the same things. You do need to have someone with charisma and charm, and kind of the big name on the cast. So that's why I went with Ewan McGregor.
Now, this is a really well done as well because he's amazing. He's known to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. He can sing in Moulin Rouge. He can be a jerk like he was in Birds of Prey. He can be a drug addict like he was in Trainspotting. He has amazing range. So Ewan McGregor is also one of these charming, good-looking guys that can easily be captain. So let's take a look for Captain James T. Kirk. We've got Harrison Ford by Jake. Well done. Ewan McGregor. But of the two of them, who do I think would follow Starship rules more and actually make it to captain? I have to go with Ewan McGregor.
That's an interesting criteria for Kirk, the one that would follow the rules.
Yeah, but he has to follow them just enough to be captain. And I think Harrison Ford would get it kicked out. Hey, don't feel bad. I went with Dean Martin from the 50s and 60s. I wanted somebody who was kind of good looking and charming and would have a drink or two with the girls, and but Ewan McGregor for that one. So let's move on to Mr. Spock, played by Leonard Nimoy. And Luke, you need someone who is smart and alien. Who are you going to pick?
That actually describes this actor physically, at least to some people. I went with Stephen Merchant as Spock.
Now, this one was an odd choice because he's really known for just being a tall dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's a comedy writer. He did play weird in Logan. He was, I think he was Morlock. He was one of the, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he was all white and goofy. I mean, he's whiter than he is now.
Mm.
He was great in Jojo Rabbit, but of course, his career has been capped off with Sherlock Gnomes.
I felt that he could maybe bring, because of some of his comedy that I've seen, he can bring a dry comedy to it, which that's always been my favorite Spock lines, when he says something that's just dry and straight and logical, but it comes off hilarious. I felt that Stephen Merchant could pull that off.
All right. We'll go on to Jake. Jake, who do you have to playing the half-human, half-Vulcan hybrid?
So I wanted an actor who I knew had the chops to play the Spock role, because it is hard to play that straight-laced all the time, sans emotion. But I also wanted someone who looked good in pointy ears and had the eyebrows to pull it off. So I went with Hugo Weaving.
Yes. So, of course, we all know Hugo Weaving because he's been the bad guy in everything. He was the bad guy in The Matrix. He was the bad guy in Captain America: First Avenger. I'm not sure he's that great a guy in Lord of the Rings.
No, Elrond, it's hard to tell sometimes with Elrond what his motives are.
But you can just look at him. Look at him right there. What does he look like? He looks like a Vulcan. Yes, he does.
Yep.
So we're going to go with Commander Spock, Stephen Merchant for Luke, Hugo Weaving for Jake. of course that's going to be Hugo Weaving. That one. So a little misstep by Luke right off the bat. That's you had a good lead, but that's Stephen Merchant. I couldn't buy him unless we were going to make this a full-on comedy. I went with a Vulcan, Martin Landau, who played a Vulcan in one of the Star Trek movies, I believe. Not being a Star Trek fan, that's I remember him looking like a Vulcan. Well, let's get on to the cranky Dr. James McCoy, or Bones as they call him. Jake, who do you have playing Bones?
So you've got to have somebody who can be the soul of the trio, right? Because you've got Spock, you've got Kirk, and really Bones kind of humanizes everything, keeps Kirk grounded, but he's also a little gritty, a little grumpy sometimes. I went with Hugh Jackman. I think he can pull this off and play opposite Harrison Ford and Hugo Weaving very well.
Well, as anybody who's listened to the podcast knows, Hugh Jackman is my nemesis. We've talked to him at length. It's mostly because he can pretty much do everything. That's why
he's amazing.
Yes, he can sing, he can dance. He's been married for 25 years to an older lady she's beautiful, he's beautiful, their kids are beautiful. He can host the Oscars. So that's why I specifically put these crappy movies up here to make sure that...
So, I was wondering, this is quite the list you've got here.
Yes.
Wolverine's not on there.
Nope.
Greatest Showman.
Nope. He's in Van Helsing, which was an abomination. Swordfish was a movie we only remember because Halle Berry took her top off. Movie 43, where he had the ball chin.
Yep.
And Chappie, where he played a bastard. So
I have zero confidence in this pick now, Luke. So I'm thinking you're getting the point.
Oh man.
Well, I try not to. Again, I try not to get my personal feelings in the way. But yeah, you didn't know he was my nemesis, did you?
I did not. I wouldn't have put him on the list if I had known that, right?
You got to listen to the podcast more often. All right.
Apparently.
So, Luke, who have you got?
All right, so kind of to the same point that Jake was making, someone that's kind of the soul of the trio, but also can come off as a very cranky, upset individual. I went with Billy Connolly.
Now, I have to say, this is a good pick because Billy Connolly is the funniest Scotsman that's ever existed. I constantly go on Facebook and watch the videos because I don't watch a lot of videos online, but I'm constantly watching him because he's hilarious. Of course, I first saw him in the Boondock Saints in the movies. Mrs. Brown was his first one. And he showed up in Muppet Treasure Island and The Last Samurai. He can do a lot of things, but him being the Doctor was an odd choice. So we've got Hugh Jackman, one of my personal favorites, Billy Connolly. Jake looks sad as hell, but you shouldn't because Hugh Jackman's a better choice.
Whew. Close.
You have no idea.
Your nemesis wasn't a good idea, so I'm happy that worked out.
You have no idea how much I hate having to do this. Because again, so we have Jake with 2, Luke with 1. I picked Peter Capaldi because if I'm going to get someone grumpy and cranky, I want someone who can swear as well and mostly lean in with eyeballs. So
I was within inches of picking Peter Capaldi, and I didn't because of another choice I made. But wow, that's a great choice. I think that's the best choice because I think he'd do a great job.
Yeah, well, again, Hugh Jackman, as much as I hate him, it's because he really is a talented guy. You didn't go see him when he came to town, did he? Did you?
I did not.
Good. Okay. Then I feel better. All right. So, Luke, we've got you coming up next with the only woman in the whole thing. Let me, and she's amazing. She's doing her last con, I guess was in Las Vegas. I think they're still going to end up doing it at some point. She's a wonderful woman that my wife and I have both met on several occasions, and she's just a sweetheart. And that is Nichelle Nichols as Lieutenant Uhura. So who do you have playing the only female?
So I wanted to go with someone that could kind of, in my opinion, not replace her obviously, but kind of fill like her just like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough.
She had a presence is
Absolutely.
I guess what I'm saying. She had a presence on there where she was just like, she could take command with all these guys yelling around her. If she wanted to tell you something, you stopped and listened to her. And so my choice is I went with very talented Zendaya.
Yes. that's a very good choice. Plus, we can put her in that role and have her in that role for years because she's only like 24, 25 years old. Of course, we know her from all the new Spider-Man movies. She was in that movie with that other guy we just talked about, The Greatest Showman. But then it gets real difficult because she actually is kind of new to the scene. So she's in Euphoria, which is a television show on HBO, and I guess she's going to be in the new Dune with Timothée Chalamet, someone who's not my nemesis. He's the anti-nemesis. I crap on him all the time. But I feel this is a strong Uhura. So that leaves you with Jake. Who do you have to play Uhura?
Yeah, I needed someone. I mean, like you mentioned, that role was so amazing and so epic, and so many things. You know, the first interracial kiss on television, things like that. That you've got to be able to have somebody who can carry that weight on their shoulders. I went with Danai Gurira. I have no idea if I said the last name right, but from Black Panther, she's an incredible actress, and I think she would do a great job and would carry that weight very well.
Absolutely, yes. She is known for kicking ass and taking names because she is Michonne on The Walking Dead. She was also Okoye on the Black Panther, and something that was pushed from March to the end of the month, which is, we just talked about this on our upcoming episode, Godzilla King of Monsters. She's going to be in the sequel, Godzilla vs. Kong, in November, which I'm excited to see. So that's a very strong... Now, I will say, guys, of the two, Zendaya and Danai Gurira, these two right here, this is the most difficult decision I've ever had to make so far. Because this one literally could flip a coin and you are not going to be wrong. But I went with Zendaya because I think she is going to kind of fit in more with what we've got going on here, especially a young, up-and-coming actress. This would be great for her. I went old school with Diane Carroll, who is just can do everything, and you can see I kind of went real old school on this one. I've got a couple more futuristic ones coming up. Then we get to the most original named gentleman of all, Montgomery Scotty Scott, our engineer, the only red shirt to ever live. So I think we start with Jake on this one.
Okay.
Jake, who do you have playing Scotty?
So you've got to have a Scotsman playing Scotty. I mean, it's just, it would be wrong to do it any other way. I went with someone who knows his way around a spacecraft and how to fix it and keep it running. I went with David Tennant. And this is why I didn't pick Capaldi with Dr. McCoy.
Now, I think this is better than Capaldi as this, because Capaldi's grumpy and so is Scotty. But David Tennant is fun-loving and grumpy. And
yes.
And I think that's Scotty more. So I think this, of the Scotsman you picked, this one is a good one. So Doctor Who, he was great in Good Omens. He played the little rat-faced guy in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I love David Tennant. So he would be my nemesis if I wasn't so much in love with him.
Right.
Because
how can you not love him? I
don't hate him. I think he's awesome. So that's a great pick. So Luke, you're going to have some problems here.
Yeah. So for me, I also, same line. It has to be a Scotsman. It can't. So what I went with was Robert Carlyle.
Absolutely. Now, he is a super crazy method actor. Like when he did Trainspotting, he actually lived in a homeless camp for a while. I don't think he did heroin, but I think he, the Full Monty, he's in 28 Days Later. And then, of course, a lot of people, especially our Fan X folks, would know him on the TV show Once Upon a Time. I can't remember what character he played. I think he plays Rumpelstiltskin.
Yep.
See, even when I don't know, I know. That's why I'm a good moderator. So why this one? Because I think Robert Carlyle would be a meaner, grumpier Scotty.
Because a lot of it, if I'm honest, is one day I saw a picture of him when he was younger with shorter hair, and the first thing that popped in my head was like, he looks like Scotty from the original series, and that's always kind of stuck with me. But I don't know, I feel like he's got a lot of range in there. Like he does play the grumpier kind of meaner grumpy, I guess, a little more, but
he can be nice.
I've seen him do more like some of the like lighthearted stuff, and I just think that he would, with the commitment he has, he'd be able to pull off Scotty.
Well, I think he's a good enough actor to do it, even if we picked it. I mean, no matter what, he could definitely do it. So we got David Tennant, Robert Carlyle. The score is 2-2, but if it's between David Tennant and anybody, it's always going to be David Tennant. Yeah. So
I would concede that one, even if you did pick mine.
So here's
David Tennant's amazing.
Here's where I said I almost picked someone the same one, because if I'm going for a pure Scottish guy that I love and is going to be funny, I'm going to go with Billy Connolly. Which I misspelled his name with an E on that one, but yeah. So you almost got if you had just swapped the two, you would have got an extra bonus point, because I would have picked him over David Tennant because they're both Scottish. But well done, both of you, because that was another difficult one. So let's get on to Sulu, and I think we're going to start with Luke on this one. Luke, now we know that George Takei is a massive social media star. So who have you picked to fill in his flamboyant shoes?
So I went a little opposite, because as we talked before, Uhura is the only woman on the cast, and I felt like there needed to be someone else. So I opted with Brenda Song to play Sulu.
That is a well-played reversal. Yeah, I mean, no, a good gender swap, because she's a Disney kid. She was in The Social Network. I don't really know her too well. I had to look her up. But from what I have seen and what my research has shown, she would be great as a Sulu. And I like that you put a little twist in there. You got to mix it up a little bit.
Right.
Jake, did you mix it up at all?
No, I did. I almost thought about doing that with Sulu, actually, which is weird that it's always Sulu that we think about mixing up there, I guess. But I didn't. I went with a veteran from Walking Dead, Stephen Yeun, to play this part.
Now, Stephen Yeun,
he could do it very well and do it justice. And obviously, he's not the same outgoing personality that George Takei is, but I think he would do a great job.
Actually, he is quite outgoing. I've heard him on some podcasts. He's been on Comedy Bang Bang, which is an improv show. He's actually quite funny guy. Obviously, Luke watches the show because you know what he's known for. If you know who Lucille is, it's all over. But he was in Okja and Sorry to Bother You, and he was in a movie called Burning, which I think he could really do this. But when we sit there and we do this, we got Brenda Song, we got Stephen Yeun. Let's be honest, Stephen Yeun a little bit too on the nose. That's why I had to choose Brenda Song.
No, I think that's a great choice.
I think she's fantastic. And with that, it ties it up. I had Ken Watanabe, a young Ken Watanabe.
Him.
That's exactly why. Good. Again, Godzilla, King of Monsters is coming up. I have Watanabe on the brain. I think a young Ken would have killed this. So we go into our final round tied. And this was not, this is just because you guys had really good casting. So now we get to the ensign. And this is the one that, played by Walter Koenig. And then I can't remember his name now, the young gentleman who passed away.
Anton Yelchin.
Anton Yelchin, that's right. He did a great job as... He even had the accent down, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jake, who do you have as the ensign?
So I went with an actor who was born, I believe, in the Ukraine, grew up in England, and most recently has been on Stranger Things, season 3, Alec Utkov. He played Professor Alexei in the series, and I think he can play the Russian. He's got the Russian accent down. He can do the Chekhov role very well. So
yeah, I had to look him up because even afterwards I still don't know who he is. And
he's the guy who likes Slurpees in Stranger Things.
Yeah, but when I saw him, he usually plays an extra, like an elaborate extra. He's that guy in the background. But so I didn't see San Andreas. I didn't see Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, the Chris Pine version. I did see Stranger Things, but he didn't jump out at me, and I have no idea what Power Monkeys is. Yeah, you can take that for what it is. But I'm sure he's a good actor that I can't remember. Luke.
Okay, so this one was really hard for me. because originally my first gut reaction was to make this Tom Holland, but I my brain probably overthinking it. I was like, I don't want to put Zendaya and Tom Holland on the same thing. So I went with an actor that actually makes me think of Tom Holland a lot. A little bit older is Jamie Bell.
Now, this is definitely an Anton Yelchin type character actor.
Mhm.
We all know him. He's for Billy Elliot. He was in King Kong. I think he was miscast as Ben Grimm in Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But
There's a whole lot of things that Fantastic.
yeah, I think a lot of people were miscast in that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean Jamie Bell's not a good actor. He's a dancer. I mean, he can do almost anything. So instead of having Sulu do the sword fighting, we would have Jamie Bell have Chekhov do the dancing number or something. So because it's really. He's really very much an Anton Yelchin character. When I saw his face and when he said Jamie Bell, I'm like, oh, okay. So we've got Alec Utgoff and Jamie Bell. Jake, I'm sorry.
No, I knew where this was going already.
Well,
this is bad news for me.
This literally was the closest one I had to do so far up to date. And I had Yul Brynner because I also wanted to go with an actual Russian. And people forget that Yul Brynner is from Siberia. And he was born in the country of Russia. So
I like that one. I really like that one.
So that makes Luke our winner for today. Luke, congratulations.
Woo!
Congrats, Luke.
Thank you.
Now, as we do with all time, you get the final thought. So, Luke, you've won. It's the first time you haven't been on the podcast, so you don't really know what you're going to be doing right now. What is your final thought?
So just wanted to talk about what I have going on.
Whatever you want.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I just been doing the Nerd Dome podcast. We just launched a podcast network over there. It's been a lot of work, but it's been a lot of fun. It's called the Geek Nerd Network. And yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. It was close. I was really impressed with a lot of Jake's decisions on those.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, Jake has always brought it hard. Even the first day he was on, he was like, "Oh, I think I did a really bad job." I'm like, "No, man, this is the first time you ever did it." It was like, "You did a really good job." So I think you both killed it today. Again, this was probably the closest one, even though it had to come a winner. It didn't end up in a tie, but it was very close. So thank you guys, and I want to remind everybody that you can follow the podcast and this on at Matinee Heroes on Twitter. You can catch us every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/Matinee Heroes. Or you can join the Facebook group where we constantly post about what's going on and what's happening. And of course, if you want to follow us on YouTube, go to matineeheroes.com/CastOFF. And as soon as we get enough subscribers, we'll get our custom URL. But we don't have that yet. So I appreciate it. But next week, I already know what we're going to do. Next week, we are casting off Smokey and the Bandit. It is, for some reason, the #1 downloaded podcast in Matinee Heroes history. What do you guys think of Smokey and the Bandit?
I mean, who can have a mustache like Burt Reynolds? I mean, who do you cast to replace Burt Reynolds and Smokey and the Bandit? I don't. Good luck.
Yeah, I know. I think more importantly, the hardest one is going to be Jackie Gleason because he is the bread and butter. He's the glue that keeps that thing going. So I'll be interesting to see who volunteers and who will be on the show for this. But Smokey and the Bandit, for some reason, is our #1 downloaded episode. So I wanted to make sure everybody got that. But on behalf of Jake Dietz from Movies That Make Us and today's winner, Luke Hunsaker from the Nerd Dome, my name is Craig Price. Thank you guys for watching and listening. I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you have suggestions, again, hit me up. Let me know what you think because I want to make sure that you guys are involved. As soon as we get enough people, I'm going to turn the voting over to you guys, but not yet. So that's it, guys. Thanks for coming. May the force be with you.